Tyrod Taylor, under center. Audibles back into the shotgun. He has Gordon out wide to his right, Landry in the slot to the left, and Coleman out wide. Njoku off the line to the right, and Johnson in the backfield. The 9-6 Browns against the 14-1 Rams. The Browns are on the verge of making the playoff for the first time in years. The situation is 3rd and goal with 3 seconds on the clock. They are down 1. Here we go. Tyrod takes the snap. He fakes it in front to Johnson. He steps up in front of Donald and rolls to the right. He's looking for Landry at the back of the end zone. He throws it. Wait, it's a pump fake. He's scrambling to the right, and he dives for the pylon past Marcus Peters. What's the call? He's in! Touchdown! Doug Pound, get excited. Let's go! Ooh, that was hard off the top of my head.
That sounded hard.
It's just kind of, I don't know. It was just kind of all imagination right there.
It's all up there somewhere.
Yeah, it's all up there.
That was a flash into the future.
Let's see if that all was real. I don't even know if they play the Rams this year. Probably not. Yeah, probably not. That'd be sweet, though. So, welcome to the 6th episode of Stump the Schwammy, here with Jerry the Schwammy and myself, Nate Host Malone, bringing you a huge breakdown of all of this quote-unquote March Madness, the free agency frenzy that has begun. This is not even the beginning of the new league year, and with this legal tampering period, we're already kind of getting into some crazy deals. To me, this seems like one of the most exciting free agency periods in recent history, at least from what I can remember. Jerry, thoughts right off the bat?
It's been crazy. Today's been crazy. Every time I got on Twitter, it was new, somebody else. At least like 1, if not like 6 players signed in like a 20-minute period.
Yeah, I'm sure that we'll get at least something while recording this.
And the best part is they haven't even signed yet.
Yeah, that's all. So all of these, besides the trades, are just intends to sign somewhere. I would actually put money on one thing gets reversed. Someone's just like, nope, not doing it.
Somebody gets more money somewhere else.
Yeah, someone pulls a Frank Gore to the Eagles and it's like, nope, I'm outie.
You can totally see that.
I forgot that actually happened until they brought that up the other day.
I heard someone talking about it yesterday.
So we didn't have an episode last week, is that right?
Yes.
So we have to do some catching up as well as covering all this new stuff. So we're going through a whole laundry list of moves, trades, signings, re-signings, releases, all that jazz. There will be some that we spend maybe 10 seconds on, some that get several minutes, just depending on how big it is, what our takeaways are. We kind of have 3 sections: pre-Browns Bonanza, post-Browns Bonanza, and today the legal tampering period began. What were you saying, Jerry?
I was just going to say, obviously we're a little biased towards our favorite players. So, I
mean, Jerry's loving some of these moves, especially as a fan of some of these players and a Browns fan. I'm sure that's kind of...
I mean, we'll get
to
it,
there.
But it was kind of like I controlled the Browns for the day. So.
He was playing GM for a day. Luckily, you won't have to hear too much from me, as the Raiders have done very, very little so far.
They don't a huge signing today. They're missing one more key part.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. They don't have very much money, so I don't expect a whole lot from them. The one difference with this episode, though, just because we're playing catch-up and there's so much moves, we probably won't have any trivia today. Unless you come up with something off the top of your head. I don't think I can, but...
It's all right. We'll save it. We'll make the fans want more.
Yeah,
as they already do after 1 week of no trivia or Schwammy snacks.
Yeah.
Probably hungry for some Schwammy snacks.
The Twitter account's been getting some retweets. It gets votes. We've had a couple more replies.
We would like more retweets.
That'd be awesome.
I don't even care if you like it or not. Just retweet it and then make
spread
fun
the word
of us or something.
Yeah, even if you hate us, whatever. So, I have one teaching story before we get started.
I've been waiting for this since you sent me a text earlier today.
That lasts about 1 minute. It's actually slightly changed, I guess, and I'll try to tie it in. So, my second freshman class of the day, my Algebra 1 class, they're always super loud, and they're always really good kids. Little Pump's in there, if you guys have heard me talk about him.
Shout out.
Yeah. Not actual Little Pump. That'd be something. His biggest fan. He wasn't in there today, though. He's in school. believe it or not.
Return to his home.
Yeah, they're just being super noisy, and all they had to do was sit there and work on like one assignment that I told them about like the day before. I just couldn't get them quiet, and these two girls that are on the track team are always talking to me and stuff. They're like, I'm probably their favorite teacher, and that's not even like trying to be like a brag or anything, but they're always talking to me and stuff. And they were talking super loud across the classroom to these other kids, and I kept yelling at them. And like, if you know me, I never actually yell in real life outside of school, but I was like top notch yelling at them. And I was like, all right, that's it, silence, no more for the rest of the class. And the one girl looked up to me and shushed me.
Oh.
I about snapped. I like Brad level snapped when like if you would tell Brad to be quiet when he's like arguing for a Bengals versus Browns debate or something, that it was that level. And I was just like, you do not shush me. Go sit down. And I blacked out, I think. So how I'll tie that in, I will not be silenced. I will talk about these free agents. I'll talk about these moves, no matter what it takes.
Did you get some joy out of yelling for like 3 seconds? Did you black out from joy? Like
I don't know. I wasn't even like mad at her really. It was just I was not in the mood for that to happen.
You do not shush Nate.
I will not be silenced. Pounds the table.
Hulk smash.
Laughed about it later in the day, but I wasn't ready for it at all. I was in the middle of just like screaming as much as I could, and she turned around and
wow,
and kept talking to her friend. I wasn't ready for it.
I wouldn't be able to handle that situation. I would tell them to leave immediately.
So that being said, I better get talking then.
Yeah, you can't be silent. So.
Yeah. All right, so let's just kind of go down the list. As I said, there's kind of 3 sections we're going to get into. This is pre-Browns Bonanza, so these are kind of the things that happened right after our last pod that we missed. Just kind of a couple takeaways here on any of these that seem really big to you. The first one on the list, first one on the docket, Robert Quinn traded to the Dolphins from the Rams. Any thoughts on that?
You kind of think that it makes more sense that Sue's leaving then, I guess. Hasn't happened yet, but... Yeah,
it seemed like he was probably kind of some insurance for him. It would have been cool if they got to play like together, though. It seemed like they would be building towards something instead of just kind of being like, well, if we messed up on that huge signing of Sue. And
yeah. The Dolphins seem like they're... I mean, like, that's a good signing or trade for them, but they seem like they're constantly just, like, taking a step backwards.
Yeah, they kind of just spin their tires, I feel like, in free agency. Yeah. They'll make, like, a big like, surprise signing, and then it won't work out, and then the next one, and it won't work out. From the Rams, though, I don't think he's done much recently. I think he was good, like, a year or 2 ago.
Yeah, the Rams, we'll get to it. They're just...
Yeah, they made some moves.
They are the Legion of Ram.
Okay. Trying to move quickly. Chris Ivory to the Bills.
Underwhelming. I guess it takes away from Tolbert being the main back when Shady's not in there. But
I always like the thought that they just run like they might even do like double fullback system sometime. Don't they have DeMarco too or something?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think they have another fairly big fullback. That would have been cool. That's just more sign that Fournette's healthy, I think. That they got rid of him probably. That and they like Yeldon still.
Yeah.
Give some insurance to Shady, who has like 1 billion career carries now. So I feel like he's got to drop off soon.
Nope, Shady doesn't die. He lives on forever.
He's parties forever.
I just hope that like the Bills kind of just switch to like the wing tee or something, since they can't pass or anything. And now that we'll get to it, but they have a whole new backfield.
Whole new situation. Okay, keep moving. Michael Bennett traded from the Seahawks to the Eagles. A Super Bowl champion team seemingly gets better.
You'd think. Hopefully his attitude just like goes away or something, because he seemed to like bring down the Seahawks.
He seemed to be kind of like a locker room cancer kind of guy. I think he's kind of old now, like 33 maybe. Yeah. But they have a huge kind of squad up front in that front 7. They rotate a ton of players in. That was kind of their strength in that playoff run, was they were able to just keep rotating, keep guys fresh, rush the passer. So maybe he doesn't have to play that much now that he's getting a little bit older. Maybe that was a good deal for him.
Any idea what the Seahawks got like in return?
I think it was a kind of underwhelming middle to late pick. I don't think it was anything crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe they can get something decent there, but I'm not totally sure. Most of these trades are for picks that are, middle rounds, so
Yeah,
it's hard to
that's
speculate without having a player assigned to it.
Yeah.
Next thing, speaking of trades, Alec Ogletree to the Giants. It seems like it's been a long time since they've had good linebackers, and maybe he'll kind of help right the ship there.
I think many things, like just an addition to the Giants would be positive. Especially, I mean, you'll get it, but they're losing DRC, and yeah, their defense was left something to be wanted.
I'm trying to think of the last good linebacker for them. Chase Blackburn like a decade ago. Kiwanuka.
I don't even know. They
He was
usually
kind
have
of a defensive end though.
usually have like defense or linemen, defensive ends that are like okay to like pretty good. They never have linebackers.
Yeah, that seemed, and then they have like sometimes decent secondary. They kind of don't play that middle ground. Next thing, Chris Baker, the defensive tackle, got signed by the Bengals. I assume he's going to pair up with Geno. I don't know how that's going to work out. I think he was kind of underwhelming. I think last year he was supposed to be a big signing. I think the year before he did really good, and then he didn't do a whole lot this year for the Buccaneers, I believe.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to try to kick the tires there and see if they can get anything out of him.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's fun.
Hopefully someone can weigh in there and let us know what they think there. Back to the Rams. We have a secondary upgrade with Aqib Talib traded to the Rams.
So, like, their secondary is unstoppable. They made another signing today. I don't know if it's on the list or not. It was more of a re-signing, I think. But their secondary is just unreal. Like I said earlier, I tweeted it earlier this week, but if they even, like, allow a completion, I think I'll be a little bit shocked.
Yeah, I don't think the other one made the list yet. I think it was as we were kind of getting started here. But they now have a three-man corner group of Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, and Nickel Roby Coleman.
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about.
Yeah, so that's pretty good there. Is Joyner a safety?
Yes.
The guy they tagged? Okay,
Yeah.
So secondary's getting up there. Obviously, they got rid of Quinn, but the line's good whenever they have Aaron Donald still. The D should be pretty good.
You would think.
And the last thing I have in the pre-Browns Bonanza section is a one-for-one player trade that doesn't happen much. Was Torrey Smith going to the Panthers for Darryl Worley, the corner?
I think both teams benefit, I guess.
Yeah, I think Worley was okay. I think he's a pretty young corner that got some playing time.
The Panthers had no receivers. He's kind of a veteran, so that helps them too. So
Yeah, he's kind of...
even if he's not productive, he's at least like been there.
He seems like he's going to play that kind of like Ted Ginn role.
Yeah.
He's
I think it fits though.
He's a little bit different, but it's
yeah.
kind of along the same lines. The Eagles still have Jeffrey Aguilar. What was his name? Mac Hollins, I think, played a decent amount at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So maybe there wasn't too much room for Torrey Smith.
They're more tight end oriented anyway.
That's true, although we'll get into some of that too.
Yeah.
Kind of downgrading there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Biased.
yes, yeah, fair. Now we're moving into post-Browns Bonanza. So
Or Browns Bonanza.
yeah, it begins with the Browns Bonanza, I guess. Jerry, do you want to take the lead with any of these? Any of these stick out to you?
I'll just I'll run them down. Jarvis needs about 1 million catches a year to keep up production. He doesn't exactly run deep routes, although he's probably like the fastest dude on the field, so I never really get that. But that's awesome. They got Jarvis in exchange for, I believe,
A fourth and a seventh, or a third and a seventh.
a fourth this year, a seventh next year, which they only get his one contract year. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, they kind of gave up a lot. But if he signs and stays there, it's a pretty good deal.
Definitely worth it.
And then, like, my favorite signing. I don't know if it'll be good or not, but getting Tyrod Taylor to the Browns is great. So, hopefully that means we don't even know anything about the draft. No speculation, but you would think that he would at least start week 1 as the vet. And they don't. You would think they don't want to start a rookie again because every time they do, it's just awful. But he's fun and he's fast and he's pretty conservative, so I'm all in on it.
To add into those two big moves before we keep going, I think Jarvis is going to play a slightly different role than before, just in the fact that I think this is the best receiving corps he's probably ever played with Gordon and Coleman and Njoku.
That's true. That's very true.
As the Dolphins usually didn't have a tight end that was any good. Devontae Parker hasn't really done anything yet. Kenny Stills is average, I'd say. So I think he's going to see less targets, but I think we'll get a little bit more space on those targets, so he might be a little bit less of the bubble screen guy and maybe get a few more yards each catch than normal. As for Tyrod, I do think the goal is to start him right off the bat. I think Jerry and I will get into a different discussion on if they're going to take a quarterback in the draft. I personally do think so. I don't know when he'll play or what the quarterback battle will be like, but I think their goal is to go into the season with him as the starter. He's kind of one of those ultra conservative. When you think like Alex Smith, he doesn't turn the ball over a lot, so I think that's a good thing for them to kind of reduce mistakes, start there.
I mean, I guess, we'll get to it. I'm just going to skip ahead for the next one just so I can talk about it more. So they also traded for Demarius Randall of the Packers, and they gave up Kaiser. I think they switched picks to somewhere in there, and Demarius Randall is going to move to safety. So hopefully that means Peppers goes where he's supposed to, and I hope that leaves room for some cornerback drafting. But what I was going to say, they got rid of Kaiser, and I think that Tyrod will do exactly what Kaiser did not. And that's throwing, he always threw into coverage over and over again.
Million turnovers.
If you look, I think it's 10 games or 9 games, the Browns were within 6 points in the fourth quarter. So those games,
they were close games.
They should have had the opportunity to win, and then as you can see, they didn't win a single game. You think with someone who's more conservative, they would be able to at least get half those, I would think, but...
You would think so. Obviously, the hype is high on the Browns right now. I feel like people should not get overexcited.
Yeah.
Know that they're building from a 0-win team and anything's an improvement, but they have talent there now.
You look at all Browns fans, we kind of all know what's really going to happen. We all get excited for fun. This is probably the most fun it's been.
I gave you guys your pipe dream call at the beginning, so...
I mean that's... throwback, so that happened already. You threw it back.
Oh, yeah, I threw it back to the future.
So, yeah, hopefully those are fun. Kaiser, it was nice knowing you. You were fun.
I still think he has potential.
If the Packers want him, they already got 3 quarterbacks on their roster. You would think they want him for something.
I think they're getting rid of Huntley. We don't have that on the list to talk about because I don't think anything's officially happened yet, but I think they're getting rid of Huntley.
I saw they're keeping Joe Houlihan or whatever.
Joe Callahan. Yeah, he's okay. He was okay in the preseason, I think, but he's young. To go back real quick, when you said Pepper's moving back to where he belongs, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so last year they decided that, hey, Peppers, you're really athletic, but we're going to put you 30 yards downfield where you can't be around anyone unless we're getting burnt.
They ran a half base defense, half punt return.
I don't know what they're doing. But he's a strong safety who should play more up near the linebackers, kind of like Harrison Smith sort of thing. Not a free safety who should be playing center field hoping that he doesn't get burnt. And for him to be able to move up and someone to actually go back and play coverage, I think would be an improvement.
Would you say he's kind of like a box safety, like Landon Collins or Honey Badger or something like that?
Kind of. I feel like he can still play coverage. I just don't think last year he was anywhere near where he was supposed to be.
He wasn't ready.
They just put him there because they had to.
He wasn't ready.
Wow.
Who's their other safety then? Are you counting Peppers as the strong safety then? With Randall as the free safety?
Whatever they were doing, it didn't make sense. I count Randall as the free, him being the strong.
Okay, that makes sense.
But before that happened, it was they had... I don't even know what they had. They had a safety get hurt, and then it was a mess.
Yeah, it was.
Who knows how they were regarded for having a pretty good defense last year. Not great, but they kept them in games, and then I don't know how they did it because they were bad.
The one to go back to Taylor, the one argument I've seen against that trade is that most people, I would say, it's definitely not 100%, but most people think they're going to take a quarterback early. Are saying that if they gave up the first pick of the third round for Taylor, that should be a starter. So they're trading a starter for Tyrod, who they're not going to use after this year anyway. Does that make sense to you, or do you agree with that, disagree with it? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I get where they're coming from, but I feel like it's important to have somebody in place just as kind of an insurance policy.
I don't know. I just really
like Tyrod.
I mean, I like Tyrod, but also he's only like, what, 28, 29?
He's not super old. No.
So, like, you think, okay, if he's good, and he wasn't, like, I mean, he was okay for the Bills. I just don't think they really used him how he should have been. And they hated him for some reason. So if they use him correctly, you think he's got at least, maybe not all for the Browns, 4 years of, like, ability to play. Like, at least at a good, decent level. So, I mean, even if you get, like, I don't want them to take a quarterback, but say they don't take one in the top 4, they take one, like, the start of 2. Say they get, like, one Lamar or Baker, whoever's around
Something like that,
and they just sit. I mean, that would be okay, but I really just don't want one of those top 4s going for a quarterback, because it's the same thing. They're just going back to what the Browns always do, and it's stupid.
And then, final Browns move from this section is they got rid of their 2015 first-round pick. Defensive tackle Danny Shelton was traded to the Patriots, and they flipped a 3rd and a 5th for that, I think.
So they got rid of their thick boy. And, I mean, I don't think he's going to be that great. And, I mean, I don't think he's going to continue to be great, but he went to the Patriots where they use everybody, and he's going to be awesome. So it doesn't really matter where he goes. He's going to be better with the Patriots, I guess. The Browns got rid of him. I guess part of the reason was because his contract was going to be up, and they had like a next year option on whether or not they wanted to keep him, and he would have been expensive. So they probably valued more picks, which they've been pretty into recently.
Yeah, they definitely have been into getting the picks. Plus, it could be an argument of if he fits like a new defensive scheme that they're going into.
Yeah, that too. I saw something about that the other day
with Greg Williams.
Yeah, Greg Williams
changing it up. So maybe that's why. So that's the last of the Browns news, but still, kind of in this post-Browns pre-legal tampering thing. Richard Sherman was released by the Seahawks and signs to the rival 49ers. What do you think about that one?
Okay, so this is kind of all from Joe Thomas, the Browns left tackle, who may not be the Browns left tackle anymore after tomorrow. But he was analyzing his contract, and I guess when he signed with the Seahawks, or he signed his first extension, he had an agent that helped him. So since then, he got rid of his agent and decided to represent himself for some reason. And when he went to the Niners, like, it looks good, I guess, like when you look at how much money he can earn, but it's literally all incentive based. So he has to play 90% of snaps to get like $2 million, I think. He has to make the Pro Bowl to get $2 million. And some contracts have it to where like you have to play in the Pro Bowl, and some of them have it to where you have to just make the Pro Bowl roster.
I saw something too on the Pro Bowl part that someone was reporting that was a typo and it was all pro, but I only heard that once. So hopefully it's Pro Bowl for his sake.
I don't know. Either way, like he's not old, but he's older and he's coming off an injury. For him to play 90% of snaps, that's pretty wild.
That's a
lot.
lot.
Like if you just get an ankle injury, you think you're out at least a game, not including where you just get like nicked up every now and then.
Right.
That alone is pretty hard to like overcome and just like keep playing.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those betting on yourself kind of contracts.
If he gets hurt, literally he gets none of that money. He gets $2 million to $2 or $3 million. That's it.
Yeah, I'm kind of
that would be all he would get.
There. Did you know that Joe Thomas and Andrew Hawkins had a podcast?
Yeah, it's called Tomahawk.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's pretty cool.
I didn't know Johnny was on there a couple weeks ago.
I didn't know that existed until like a week ago, but I like that concept.
I haven't got to listen to it yet because I think it's on iTunes and not Spotify, and that's what I use.
Oh, gotcha.
So I want to listen to the one with Johnny because it sounded like they had a lot of fun just like messing around.
Joe Thomas knows his stuff. Like I said, I haven't listened to it yet, so I don't know about Hawkins because I don't see him on Twitter. But
he gets on ESPN sometimes, but I've never really heard him outside of that.
Gotcha. All right, back to our stuff, I guess. The last thing we have in this section is the Buccaneers re-signed both Mike Evans and tight end Cameron Brate. The Mike Evans deal was huge. I think it's great to pair their young quarterback, who they see as their franchise quarterback, with a superstar wide receiver. Even coming off a down year, Mike Evans is really good. And Cameron Brate seems like a sneaky good tight end. Fantasy people, I think, probably hate this move because they want O.J. Howard to kind of take over. He's supposed to be the like next great tight end. That was kind of his draft status next year, is that he was like the next big deal. And he's going to be splitting tight end reps again. And if he gets on the field, he's probably the better blocker of the two, O.J. Howard. Mm-hmm. So that kind of hurts his value fantasy-wise. But I think Brate's a good player in real life. I think that helps him.
I think both good re-sign. I mean, Mike Evans is awesome, so I
Yeah.
mean, like, you have to re-sign him. You lose him, that's a loss, like,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, Brate's good. I mean, he's someone you want to keep on your team. Same thing you said, like, O.J. Howard's good, too, so they want him out there, but,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, neither of them are bad re-signings. Like,
No.
From a fan perspective.
Right. Okay, so now we're getting into stuff that happened pretty much today. The legal tampering, which is the stupidest phrase.
It doesn't make sense.
Is it pretty much an oxymoron?
I mean,
pretty much.
It sounds like it.
But the legal tampering period began today, which means that like free agency discussion can happen. Not all of these are intended signings. Some are still trades, re-signs, retires, things like that. But we're talking about stuff that happened starting today. So the first one on the list is left tackle Cordy Glenn was traded to the Bengals from the Bills. He's one of the top-notch left tackles in the league. I mean, again, I'm not an expert when it comes to O-line stuff. I just know what everyone else tells me. But it seems like he's always towards the top of the rankings in terms of linemen. To get him, the Bengals moved back from 12 to 21, I believe.
Yeah.
The Bills had 21 and 22. And it seems like now the Bills are in the market to move up and maybe get their future franchise quarterback now that Tyrod's gone.
Yeah, they're. I think the whole thing was them moving up. Getting rid of Glenn kind of stinks. I mean, he's definitely really good. I know Bengals fans, a.k.a. Brad, pretty happy about it.
Yeah. No more Oogie Boogie.
No more Oogie Boogie. I bet they're pretty happy about that. He was
I know.
Not that good.
Yeah, I know Brad really hated when they would just draft like left tackle after left tackle every year.
Yeah.
So maybe that finally solves that for at least a little while. I'm not sure how old he is. I don't think he's like ancient or anything.
No.
So
maybe
probably he'll be there for a couple seasons.
Yeah.
And like we said, I think it gives the Bills ammunition to move up into the top 10, top 5, wherever to get whoever they want. Be it, I don't think they'll get to number 1 or 2, so it'll probably be Allen, Baker Mayfield, or Lamar Jackson. That's what I would think.
I mean, you think? Well, I don't know. They hated Tyrod, so maybe they don't want to go in that kind of player direction
With Lamar, yeah.
But
never know.
I would like it.
Smaller move. Wide receiver Albert Wilson is going to sign with the Dolphins. He was, I believe, one of the starters with Conley and Hill for the Chiefs. He's one of those typical, like, good physical traits receivers, but he's never really, like, a superstar. But that'll add to their wide receiver core with Landry leaving. They need bodies there. Any thoughts on that? Or
I don't know. I mean, Albert Wilson seems like a solid third receiver. I guess he's not really a big boy.
Yeah.
He instantly gets replaced in the next one, so I guess it's not for the Chiefs. It's a good move, but
yeah.
I'm having trouble. I'm like blanking on who the other Dolphins receivers are.
Stills and Parker are the next biggest one.
Parker is supposed to be sweet and real good, and if they're signing Wilson, what does that say about like Parker?
I don't know. He was been like on the verge of breaking out apparently for the last like year or two, and it hasn't really happened.
I feel like they use Stills like way more than they use Parker.
Right. I'm kind of with you there. We alluded to the Chiefs getting another wide receiver. It appears that Sammy Watkins is going to sign with Kansas City Chiefs. He seems like a really good talent. He was the top-ranked wide receiver just coming out of college a couple years ago. But it says something when both the Bills and the Rams chose not to really fight for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I read was that he wanted a lot of money. Like, he wanted wide receiver 1 money. And, like, he would be the wide receiver 1 at either of those places. But I just don't think it was worth it to the Rams. They were trying to build up their defense and not get another receiver.
Right. He would be those teams' 1, but he's not a true 1 when you think about, like, the Julios, A.J. Green, OBJ,
he's not like a
Browns, things like that.
Top 7-1. He's
Right,
just
yeah.
a 1.
Right. He's a top 32.
Yeah. Then if you guys remember, it's a little humble brag, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how Sammy was kind of like Tyreek Hill and that other receiver that the Chiefs had. So
Conley or
Conley, yeah. We were saying, he might fit there. You kind of
humble brag.
just
Look, it's like we know stuff almost.
Kinda. I do watch a lot of football.
Yeah.
Turn ESPN on every now and then.
Another big wide receiver move, Allen Robinson, the target monster, tends to sign with the Chicago Bears, giving Mitch Trubisky a true number one, hopefully. They have Cameron Meredith there, who did pretty good in the past. Kevin White hasn't really panned out. They haven't. We'll skip to it already. They plan to sign Trey Burton too, so that gives 2 new weapons for Mitchell Trubisky is what I should have said, I guess. They drafted Adam Shaheen, the tight end out of one of the small Ohio schools. Which one?
Ashland, I think.
Ashland, yeah. And I think he was like a 3rd rounder, so he's got some talent. So maybe Mitchell Trubisky, that's hard to say, will take the next step up next year. Maybe have like a Jared Goff bump up now that he has weapons.
It seems like he's having some fun signings. I think there's another one. I mean, defensive player down there, but they're at least adding. Ooh, there's another receiver down there, adding to the squad. So Cameron Meredith was like a fake number one. I think.
Yeah.
I think he happened to benefit, but he's not a number one.
He
You
was
put him
get-
on another team.
He was getting a lot of targets because he was the only one.
Yeah.
They had like Dontrell Inman, who they.
Yeah.
So-
They didn't have much.
Okay, we'll keep going then. I believe left guard Andrew Norrell plans to sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was thought for a while he was going to go to the Giants, but kind of ended up switching there later today. A decent O-line seemingly gets better. Again, another thing that makes it seem like Fournette is trending upward. If you don't think that the Jags want to run the ball, you're crazy. Getting rid of Allen Robinson to sign a left guard, re-upping with Bortles, kind of doubling down on Fournette.
They're sticking to their guns.
Yeah, definitely.
They're letting everybody know what they're gonna do, and they're just gonna keep doing it. So I don't know if it'll get them to a Super Bowl, which I guess is now their goal since they got to the
They were one
AFC
step
championship
away.
game. But
If it works, it works.
yeah, I mean, gamble on it
Next thing, Drew Brees resigns with the Saints
for a lot of money,
for a lot of money.
and it wasn't even the most money.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was like 2 years, $50 million or something. And he said that he could have got more money elsewhere, but he didn't want to max out the Saints as to like help them getting other signings. But he took a lot of money.
To me, it never seemed like a real possibility he would go anywhere else.
I don't think so
as we just said, he took less money to go there. But I do know that the Vikings did make a call to at least see if they could offer something to him, so that it at least got entertained.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think there's any real chance of that happening.
I mean, they talk about he had a decline, but I don't think it was because he was like worse. I think his numbers just went down because he had 2 awesome running backs.
Yeah, they just ran the ball a lot. Next thing on the list here, Aladi Nata to the Eagles. I didn't know he even still played.
I mean,
I feel like
on the Lions last year.
Maybe.
I just don't think he did very much.
I don't think he's done a lot. He used to be like an all-pro player, but it seems like he's kind of over the hill.
I don't know if he's just a rotational player, gets like third downs or something.
Again, it just adds to their depth chart of players they can rotate in.
Man, the Eagles are smart. They have like all of their starters signed for like the next 2 years too, except Blunt, which I don't know.
They
if
have Ajayi.
Yeah, I don't know if is Blunt a free agent, or is he like a restricted free agent or something?
He might be restricted. I'm not sure off the top of my head
But
on that one.
either way, they have like all their starters, and then they rotate their D line like crazy, so they're never really hurt or tired. It's
Right.
awesome.
They have plenty of depth, everything that they want there. Eagles should be kind of up there for a couple years, you'd think at least.
But I mean, they're pretty young.
I guess the key hinge there is if Wentz comes back healthy. Even if Foles did fine.
Super Bowl MVP.
Foles, hey, Big Dick Nick.
And they're not. Whoa, PG-13. You censor that later.
Got me.
Or not.
You guys got me. Or you had me dropping some curse words with the one like fumble recovery trivia. So I think we're past that point.
It's okay. You needed it. You needed a
I did.
humbling.
I need to unwind a little bit. Another D-line piece of information, Star Lotulelei to the Bills. I believe they lost Marcel Darius last year to Jacksonville.
Yep.
So maybe he'll come in and kind of fill that role. He's never really panned out to his early first round status, but I think he's still like a fairly decent player.
Still productive. I liked him when he got drafted. I mean,
Same.
he hasn't been super. He's got a cool name, so that kind of helps.
I think that was the year that he does have a cool name. I think it was the year that Oakland took DJ Hayden, and I was kind of hoping that's who they would have taken instead. It's not like he's an all-star like we said, but it would have been a lot better.
I think Hayden signed somewhere today too. I don't think it's on your list.
Yeah, I don't think it.
But
Jacksonville maybe.
Yeah, I think it was Jacksonville.
Yeah, he'll be depth there. They have Bouye and
He'll be
Ramsey,
back, baby.
but-
Yeah. Raiders
He has
couldn't give him
talent,
what he
but-
wanted. You know,
Yeah.
he's gonna get it somewhere else. He's gonna get that money. That money.
I'd be into it. That'd be cool. Linebacker Anthony Hitchens plans to sign with the Chiefs. They got rid of Tamba, so maybe that's just kind of adding depth there. From what I saw on Twitter, they were pretty ecstatic about this signing. I don't know much about Anthony Hitchens, but maybe he's a player that I should know more about.
Isn't he a linebacker for the Cowboys?
I think so.
Like that? I mean, the Cowboys. You look at this list. I mean, this isn't everything. There's some stuff missing because we summarized it. But Cowboys aren't doing themselves any favors.
They're not doing
They're
a
falling
lot.
apart. Like,
Yeah, not a lot going on
what's
there.
Jerry doing?
He's too busy paying that like $2 million back to Goodell or whatever.
They're just banging on Zeke being like the best player in
Yeah.
the world ever,
Um,
and not getting suspended for 6 games or whatever.
yeah, we already mentioned Burton to the Bears. I think he's going to be a pretty good tight end. It's a similar thing with Brayton and O.J. Howard. I wish Shaheen would have had a chance to shine, but maybe it gives him another year or two to learn.
He's got time.
Yeah.
You love yourself some Che Boo Boo.
Oh, I hate that nickname.
You love it.
Oh, no, I don't. One of the...
This one makes me sad. But go
Yeah, a retiree on the list. This is the end of the career for Paul Posluszny, the linebacker for the Jags and formerly of the Bills, I believe.
Yep.
Always a fun player. I don't know. He seemed to always be in the play. He's one of those players that's like Hall of very good, probably. He's not like a Hall of Famer by any means,
he's
but
always been good.
He's always been like above average, but
I think he had a lot of ouchie brains, so he
Yeah.
decided it was probably about time to.
and honestly,
he's doing what Kuechly probably should do.
yeah, I don't blame
I
him.
love Kuechly, but he, if he wants to have a functioning brain in about 15 years, he might need to take a seat
Right.
soon.
Next on the list, Delvin Breaux was not tendered by the Saints. Just adds another possible pretty good DB to the list of free agents, with a lot of them kind of getting signed already. So I've always thought since I've seen him that Delvin Breaux has been a kind of underrated corner.
He was underrated last year, but that first year when he was playing, he was getting torched. He was getting
Yeah,
embarrassed.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I remember him for, is him
Yeah.
getting torched.
He kind of brought it up a little bit. I'm not sure how he ended the season though. Maybe he's been up and down. So
Well, he wasn't that guy who let Diggs score, so he's got that going for him.
that's true. That is very true. He can always hang on to that. Some quarterback news. One of the Vikings quarterbacks, Case Keenum, plans to go to the Broncos. We'll hear about Kirk Cousins next, but that pretty much rules them out there, obviously. He seems like he gives them at least the option to where at number 6, I believe, they don't have to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
It seems like they're pretty over Paxton Lynch.
Man, they spent a lot of picks on quarterbacks the last
Yeah.
couple of years.
They have Simeon there. He was a late pick, but he seems like he was below average.
Got Chad Kelly real deep.
Yeah, real
Real
deep. Yeah, Osweiler's still there. I think they brought
Yeah.
him back, and
He might only sign through the end of the year. I don't know if
yeah,
anybody's gonna want him.
he's depth. Case Keenum seems like he's coming in to be the starter as of now, unless they get one of the top QBs at 6. Thoughts on that, or does
I
that
don't
seem
think
about
they will.
right?
I've seen some Baker to them kind of pick things, but I don't. If they take Case, I don't think they really want to.
I don't think they're.
I don't know. Anything could happen, but
Yeah,
you think Keenum's
I think it
starting?
rules them out of trading up at least.
Yeah, they're not going to trade
Uh,
up.
Never know, but we just talked
Sign and
about
trade
possible.
to the Bills.
That would be something. We just talked about Kirk Cousins. Seems as if he's going to replace Keenum and Bradford and Bridgewater as the Vikings quarterback. He was kind of the big piece of this whole free agency picture, getting that fully guaranteed contract. Seems like he's going to have a lot of pressure on him because they already made the championship game with Keenum. It seems like it's going to be Super Bowl or bust for him, which kind of sucks for Kirk because every year the teams fluctuate. It's not going to be solely on him, I would think. But he goes into probably the best situation out of the top 4 or so teams that were looking at him: Jets, Cardinals, Broncos, Vikings.
I mean, he really had his pick of what he wanted, and that's what he picked. So
hopefully it works out. One big underrated thing, I think, for the Kirk Cousins signing is a lot of NFL veterans were talking about how they were so proud of Kirk Cousins for getting this guaranteed contract. They were kind of pissed off at other veteran quarterbacks who kind of went the not total Richard Sherman route, but had incentives in their contract when they could have used the fact that they're the most important position and they're very good players to get that fully guaranteed thing. So he kind of made a big move for the NFLPA, I think, by doing that. I know Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks were talking about in a couple years when some of these younger quarterbacks are getting re-signed, they're going to look back and Kirk Cousins is going to be the one that kind of changed free agency. So maybe it's kind of got a bigger implication than we realize right now.
It seems like, you're right, he made his own way into getting his money, not the incentive base, but at the same time, the quarterbacks get more money than anybody. You look today at the contracts that are potentially going to be signed tomorrow, and all the quarterbacks are getting at least $10 to $20 million a year.
Right.
McCown is down there. I don't know if we'll talk about it. They signed him a 1-year deal. He's 39, $10 million. But then you get I don't even know an example. Just another position player signs and it's $5 million. The quarterbacks always get wet, and McCown's not even McCown's McCown.
Yeah, he's nothing special anymore.
Man, I want to find that tweet.
Okay.
That I was reading earlier.
We already talked about the Bills moving up to probably get a quarterback. It seems like they're trying to get ammunition. Jerry added in, unless Joe Webb's the answer. I don't know. I would like it, but...
Formerly, Joe Webb signed and played for the Vikings in a playoff game many years ago. He was very bad. It was probably the worst playoff start in the history of NFL football, excuse me. But he's been around. He could play starting quarterback and gunner on the special teams. Let
it happen.
Let it go.
Well, I just want to say
go. All right, I'm gonna stop what we're doing because I really want to read this for a second.
All right.
We haven't. We're gonna skip one announcement.
Okay.
So Sam Bradford probably gonna sign with the Cardinals. They needed a quarterback. This was a tweet someone tweeted today and it made me laugh. Pretty good.
I know what you're talking about now.
I'm just gonna read it word for word. So this is into the future. The year is 2039. The Cleveland Browns signed veteran Sam Bradford, 52.
Ooh,
coming off his 11th torn ACL. Bradford played in just 6 games in 2038, leading the San Diego Generals to a 1-5 record, but showed enough promise to warrant a 1-year, $57 million deal. Bradford is now a billionaire.
It's probably fully guaranteed now, thanks to Kirk Cousins.
Man, if he's playing until he's 52,
I would love it.
That means, bring back Brett Favre. Let him get some snaps.
Let him run around in his blue jeans, toss things.
It looks like he's always training. I don't know.
He's playing with the high school kids.
He's in game shape. That's all I know.
Yeah, so we said Sam Bradford to the Cardinals. Carson Palmer retired earlier the year, so they at least get someone to fill that position, a veteran.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Because they brought Fitzgerald back, we were pretty sure they were going to bring in some vet quarterback rather than just an early rookie. That way they have kind of a chance to compete. Paul Richardson, the wide receiver formerly of the Seahawks, is going to go to the Redskins. I like him. I think he's a good receiver. So I would say, here's kind of a comparison for you. Would you be with me if I told you that Jarvis Landry is like OBJ, light?
Yeah, they're homies too, so they're kind of associated.
I would say Paul Richardson is double light.
Double light. He's Jarvis light.
Kinda, yeah. He's Jarvis Landry light.
So there's natural, the beer.
Yeah.
And that's OBJ. And then natty light is Jarvis.
Oh, I don't like where this is going for Paul Richardson.
And natty ice light or whatever
is
Paul Richardson.
He's ice.
Which is really gross, by the way. So Don't be sipping on some natural ice.
But I don't think Richardson's gross. I think he could be a good player.
He could be okay. I don't think the Seahawks offense is stupid because it's just Russell Wilson running around kind of throwing the ball every now and then.
Yeah, so maybe Alex Smith can do more with them. I don't know.
That's true, yeah.
But, Richardson's good for like a fun catch every once or twice a season.
Yeah, he seems to be really fast.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of the opposite of fast, Danny Amendola to the Dolphins.
Quick and sneaky.
Yeah. He's got real grit, man. You know?
I wish we had audio of Deion Sanders at the combine.
Oh, yeah.
He can run.
I can't say this on TV, but you guys know what I'm saying. It kind of reminded me of like Wes Welker came from the Dolphins to the Patriots. Now Amendola is going from the Patriots to the Dolphins.
This is where Amendola will die. He's he hadn't done much recently. He just kind of still existed. Gets a catch every now and then.
When he was younger on the Rams, I thought he was going to be like an awesome player.
He was
I'm
really
not
good.
going to lie, but I thought he was going to be like an actual wide receiver one. I thought he was going to be like what Wes Welker was like doing at the time, Edelman, like that level.
Yeah.
Didn't really happen.
He just filled that role for the Patriots.
Yeah. More quarterback news. Man, we're kind of getting towards the end. We're getting there. Teddy Bridgewater is likely to sign with the Jets, as well as they're re-signing Josh McCown. So that gives them options in the QB room. Teddy, I think, has a really high ceiling, being a former round one pick. But you don't know his health, so it's good that they brought McCown back, I think, just in case.
I saw earlier that they already told, not that this ever matters, but McCown's going to start. I mean, they just signed him and they already told him he's going to start.
So
it's a load of baloney, but
they're going to battle it out.
They don't really know that. But
and I wouldn't be shocked if they brought in a QB either.
He did really good, though.
McCown?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah, he kind of had like a Fitzpatrick year from like a year or two before.
Yeah.
I think we missed this talking about the Bears earlier. I think you mentioned another wide receiver later on the list. Taylor Gabriel, formerly of the Falcons and Browns, gives them a slot guy. So maybe if they have Robinson and Meredith out wide, maybe they have him in the slot. Just another weapon there. He's a quick guy.
He's pretty decent for the Browns. He's okay. He was in that year where Manziel and Hoyer were doing stupid stuff, and everyone was doing stupid stuff. But then for the Falcons, he was pretty important, like second/third receiver to their Super Bowl run. They didn't win, but
yeah.
I mean, he was one of the main receivers behind Julio.
Man, I can't remember if it was the Super Bowl or the game right before, but he absolutely just torched somebody on her.
It was the one before. It was definitely the one before. Yeah.
Man, it was nasty, but he's a pretty good player, I think. A little underrated. I mean, he's not a superstar, again, by any means. Most of these players are a notch down from that, or they wouldn't be in the free agency, but he's got some talent.
Especially with receiver. I mean, like we said earlier, you have your ones, your clear ones, then you have, your ones.
Yeah, there's a difference there.
Gabriel could be a 2 some places, but he's a 3.
Right. Next thing, Aaron Colvin, the corner from the Jags, going to the Texans. Kind of just the reverse of last year where Booyah went from Houston to Jacksonville, so they kind of just flip-flopped there. Jacksonville got the better end of that deal, I think. But it's good corner depth.
I think the Texans, if they freaking don't get hurt, the Texans could be really good.
They should be good. Bashad Breeland to Carolina, another corner moving. When I first looked at this, I kept thinking Benet Benwickery. The double B's there, and I'm like, wait, they already had him a while back.
Man, he was real good when he played, and then he just died after that.
Yeah, he just fell off. But there's just some corner depth. I mean, Breeland's okay, I think. Dante Moncrief to the Jags. Could be a decent wide receiver. Kind of pick up, replaces A-Rod probably. I think they brought back Marquise Lee today.
They did, with a lot of money.
Any idea on Hearn? I'm not sure.
I think they re-signed him too. I think they only lost Robinson, and I saw that Moncrief somehow, I don't really know how this works because he's been around at least 3 years, right?
Yeah.
He is the youngest receiver other than the guy that was, what's his name? Dede, yeah. He's only a couple months older than Dede. He's the youngest receiver.
That's weird. I was going to mention Dede, Westbrook, and Keelan Cole too. So they had some
yeah, somehow he's younger.
They have a bunch of those middling receivers that's going to have to sort itself out.
Yeah, that'll be weird.
Lee and Hearns seem like the best ones to me right now.
You would think they love Lee, who I used to love.
Yes.
I used to love Lee.
A former lover of Jerry.
I like players too soon.
I love Lee.
I love Lamp.
All right,
Forrest.
we're getting there.
Forrest Lamp.
There you go. Like the Lamp, baby. Packers making some moves, cutting veteran wide receiver Jordy Nelson and signing tight end Jimmy Graham. Is this the best quarterback that Jimmy Graham's ever played with? I know you don't like Aaron Rodgers, but...
I mean, he was really good with Breeze.
He was very, very good with Drew Brees. I would have liked him to go back there. That was the other big talk.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. I thought that was, like, for sure. But the, what was I saying? There's always talk about how tight ends are just stupid at Green Bay because they don't get what they should.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't want to say this is what that is, but, I mean, you get rid of Jordy, there's more room for throwing around.
To me, if Jordy would have came back versus them replacing him with Jimmy Graham, I think they're going to do very similar things. The red zone threats, who are pretty slow now, but could get touchdowns if they become a favorite target. I don't see Jordy as that big of a loss at this point. Coming off a big injury 2 years ago now, he kind of lost a step last year after being really good the year before.
See, it's all up for debate, though, because, A-Rod didn't play all year, and that's his homie.
That is true.
So
when he was on the field, he did better. Yeah. So
you got to think that A-Rod just went and bought a 40 and poured it out for Jordy today.
Sorry.
Miss you,
yeah, Hundley is not Aaron Rodgers, that's for sure.
No, he might be worse than... That's why they got Kaiser, because that guy's probably worse than Kaiser. Got better cast, though.
All right. We're going to end on... Oh, more. No more. We're not ending yet. Man, we're getting news left and right.
This just it.
This just it, no. We'll keep
5
going.
hours.
Two running back situations. Jonathan Stewart plans to sign in New York, and so does Crowell. But Jonathan Stewart to the Giants and Crowell to the Jets.
You like that way too much.
Is it bad if I wasn't cooking that up and just came up with it?
Man, I kind of wish that went the other way. I wish Crow would have went to the Giants. I think it would have made him better.
Yeah, I think I would have liked that a little bit more.
I think it's just because I have this thing in my head where Stewart's just not productive anymore.
Yeah, Stewart seems a little over the hill. I think Crowell's okay. The Jets aren't great, though, so...
I'm sad. I wish Crow would have stayed with the Browns. Because that means bad things now. Things I don't want.
They had...
In my mind.
They had Powell already. Forte retired. Elijah McGuire did okay last year, so he's just going to kind of be part of that mix, I think.
I think maybe... And then, too, I think the Giants are trying to be like... what's that running back that was like hot on the waiver wire last year? Wayne Gallman.
Oh, okay.
I think they want to use him more.
Yeah, that would make sense. He did okay compared to some of their other ones. Compared to like Darkwa and stuff.
Yeah. Or Paul Perkins.
Smash Jackson. Gotta give him an exciting name. I kind of thought Crow was going to go to the Lions, but now they're looking at DeMarco, I think.
No, dude, the Lions are stuck forever in that, like... We
Passing
have a passing back, but not a running back.
It.
They're just going to make Stafford throw 80 passes a game until he retires.
With Riddick and Abdullah. They're just going to use Zach Zenner.
Riddick's good as a receiver.
I know.
He's an awful running back, though.
To keep going, Malcolm Butler to the Titans.
For a lot of money.
Pairs back up with Logan Ryan. This after his...
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, this is after his Super Bowl benching, which hurt his value, I think. Last year we thought he was going to be in a big trade to the Saints, but it turns out he's moving a year later. That gives the Titans a pretty good secondary with Adoree Jackson, too. They have some pieces there.
Yeah, hopefully he's good. I mean, he's like a mystery player right now. No one really knows if he's good anymore.
Yeah, like...
You get benched in the Super Bowl, you got to think you suck.
I thought he was good until that happened. Some lower tier Browns news. They signed 2 offensive tackles, swing tackle Donald Stevenson and right tackle Chris Hubbard. Some people are calling this as like, oh, Joe Thomas is definitely retiring now, but I don't really think that's happening.
He's been around for a while and he got hurt and they didn't have insurance. So, you got to get somebody to be insurance.
To me, it seems more like an upgrade over that Sean Coleman.
He's awful.
Yeah, so maybe that's just it.
But then again, if you ask any analyst ever, the Browns O-line is just so
great.
Good.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's what they make it out to be.
They make it sound so good because apparently Joe Thomas is the god. but they're really not that good. They gave up 1 billion sacks. They're like, they're pretty much like, I don't know. You put David Carr back there, he's getting more sacks than he did last time.
Whew. That's rough. Speaking of cars,
Yes.
here's the big wind-up here.
The carriest.
Raiders sign, along with Griff Whalen, so maybe we'll get some sweet special teams plays.
He's fun. I like Griff Whalen. Whelan, Damon, Whalen.
But they also signed former Redskins, I believe, tight end Derek Carrier. I think he was on the Rams as well.
I just know he went Gruden to Gruden. Saw that today.
Yeah. Jay
called up Dad, gave him a deal.
But now that the Raiders have Derek Carr and Derek Carrier, when are they going to get the Derek Carriest?
He's probably deep on the roster somewhere.
He'd be a nice long snapper.
They're going to get rid of Tavecchio and sign Derek Carrier.
They don't have Kondo anymore, so they need a long snapper.
Somebody.
That's big news right there.
That's sad.
I know.
He'll sign somewhere. He's probably the best ever.
I'm not sure if they released him or if he retired. He's kind of old.
Is there like Hall of Fame long snappers?
If so, he's in. I don't know. I honestly assume there's not any in that.
There's got to be. To like one, right? Just out of like courtesy. Like there's a Hall of Fame. Well, there's not really a holder in the NFL. It's like a college thing.
Save that for the Hall of Fame long snapper podcast.
Yeah, so that'll happen. It'll be about 1 minute long.
Oh, there he is.
Kondo. All right, that was it. You can move on now.
More recently, Trumaine Johnson is going to sign with the Jets, give them some secondary depth. I always think of that around the NFL bit, where they pretended to be the GMs. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about,
No,
but
I mean I know that segment. I don't know what you're specifically talking about.
One of the heroes gave Trumaine. Who's Trumaine Johnson coming from? The Rams.
Yeah, the Rams.
They gave Les Snead, I think, like a real like Texas accent or something. We'll trade you Trumaine Johnson for like a bottle of hair gel or something. I can't even like.
I've never heard of that one.
It's worth going and looking up. I can't even like say Trumaine Johnson without putting like a little twang on it.
Because you just like it from that segment.
Like that's all I think about. But he's a pretty good corner. He's one that I actually wanted Oakland to sign, but they don't have very much money. And last thing on our list.
Jets real good at signing corners for a lot of money and them not being good. Just want to point that out.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Screens garbage, I'm just saying.
And the last thing on our list, John Brown to the Ravens. At least they're trying to upgrade that wide receiver core.
Not really.
It doesn't seem like they're doing a great job.
They just signed another guy that's on par with what they already have, to be fair. We're looking to the Twitter now for some updates.
Yeah, so let's go about 2 more minutes to check Twitter, and then we'll wrap up. We'll see if I find anything real juicy.
Yeah.
We have Ravens are expected to sign another receiver, Ryan Grant of the Redskins. He was one of those just kind of...
Man, he's old.
Ooh, yeah.
Bring him back.
He was just kind of a deep threat, kind of fast guy, I think. Nothing special.
Another third receiver.
Kind of a bigger one. Packers are signing former Jets defensive tackle Mo Wilkerson.
Okay, that's good.
That's kind of a big one.
Their D is pretty bad, so.
The Teddy Bridgewater contract looks to be a 1-year deal. I think we probably already touched on that. Ooh, I thought there was Big Breeze stuff for a second.
More money.
Even more money.
He finds $1 billion in his locker.
Speaking of the Sam Bradford tweet, Eric Weddle tweeted that no player has been paid more for less than Sam Bradford.
It's incredible.
Shots fired.
He's not wrong.
No, not really.
He gets a lot.
I think Bradford's like okay, but
he does good, then gets hurt. That's what he does. He's good at that. Ram Bradford.
Kyle Kelly tweets that the Browns are still in and Nate Solder and Terrell Pryor. Now, if they get Solder, I do kind of believe some of the Joe Thomas stuff.
Yeah,
because he's a true left tackle.
He's good.
Pryor coming back would be kind of cool. That was the one place where he worked. So, I don't know.
I don't really want him. I'm not going to lie, at this point.
He left us, and no coming back after that.
He had his chance. He's still fun. I'll root for him. I just don't really want him. Unless they're going to put him at, like, quarterback.
I would really like that.
Like, quarterback receiver, though. Kind of like, so they, like, they made Cribbs like some like special teams fun guy or something, like on the coaching staff. I don't really know what his title is.
That's it, actually.
But
Special teams fun guy.
if they sign Pryor and he becomes special teams fun guy, like as a player, I'm into it.
STFG1.
Woo!
Special
Good times.
That was some real, like, hardcore thinking for me to
Yeah, I
come up
wasn't
with
even gonna
that.
try. I thought about it for a second, but so any more on the Twitter sphere?
So I think we hit all the things worth talking about, and probably some that weren't even worth talking about. We'll have to do another one soon. The NFL New Year starts tomorrow.
At 4, I think.
Starts Wednesday at 4. That sounds right. But
That's when you're legally supposed to sign players.
That's when all
what I
these
know.
deals that have definitely been written up and just not signed actually come into fruition.
What
So-
really happened is all the GMs and the coaches called up these players and they're like, hey, this is what we want to do, but we don't have any pins, and they go on sale tomorrow at noon. So
they're like way cheaper after Valentine's.
we're going to go get
It's
some
one of those
pins,
things.
get some really fancy paper, and you're going to sign it tomorrow
Yep.
at 4. But we just can't do it right now because we don't have the pins.
Can't do it right now, busy, sorry.
Busy. Got stuff going on.
Alright, anything else before we duck out of here? I would like to think that we'll have another one kind of soon. I assume with the actual New Year starting that some more big moves will be made, although it's like what's left at this point, although I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll find something.
I mean, like you said, Pryor hasn't signed anywhere. I saw someone, either Schefter or Rappaport, tweet that like every team has at least a starting quarterback on their
Except-
roster except the Bills.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, except
But
Buffalo.
they have Joe Webb, so I don't really know what he's talking about. He has no idea.
Peterman started the game.
Peterman, God, please
He's
don't.
so bad.
They need to just
Please,
cut
Bills,
him.
don't.
Bring back EJ or something. Or no, JP Losman. That would be so
Oh,
sweet.
Jesus.
Bring him back. The lost
Trent
man.
Edwards?
He'd be cool. He's pretty old.
Yeah, he's really old now.
I always think, who's the other? Trent Green. When I hear Trent Edwards, I
Oh,
picture
yeah.
Trent Green, and then I think he's even older.
That's fair.
He's like 60.
Okay, guys, well, let us know what you think. If there's anything that we missed that you want us to touch on. If you are dying for that trivia again, we'll be back on it, I'm sure. Let us know if you have any suggestions. Like I said, we're always looking to gain more fans. Give us a like on YouTube. Ring that bell 3 frickin' times, as I'm one to say. Give us some retweets that Jerry was talking about
Something.
earlier.
If you're listening and you're not doing anything, we kind of like.
What's
I mean,
up,
we still
man?
like you, but we don't really like you. Once you retweet us, you are cool.
Oh, you're in.
You are a dude. Cool guy.
All right. Anything else to add, or Schwammy out?
I don't have much now. Maybe later this week.
All right. We'll save it for the next one.
I'm getting brain dead. A lot of stuff going on.
All right. March Madness is here.
Woo!
Schwammy out.
Schwammy out. Bye bye.